centered in the beauty of all of that is centered in it's both given your perception. So see how the self comes into this?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And it's affecting, as in quantum physics, of course, that it's you, the observer, or the part of it that actually, influences, depending on if it is a particle or is it a wave, and even where it is. I mean, it's you or the individual that is looking upon it that actually is the contributing force, to influence it.
Exactly. What they're found out, which of course they were hoping they would never find out, scientists claiming that they're objective, suddenly they've come right up against this subjective philosophy, and that your looking, your existence, your function changes matter, reality.
That's amazing.
They didn't like that. They did not like that at all. Because science has always been priding itself on there is no subjective reality, it's all objective. You can come across objective truth.
And as a scientist, you always try to remove yourself, in a way, from the, when you conduct the experiment or whatever,
And then they find that there is no experiment without the you. Oh, my God. In fact, you are affecting the experiment. Mystics could have told them that, the shamans, pre-logical shaman could have told them that.
Yeah.
But this is what Heisenberg discovered, this is what ended up, Schlesinger and all of them discovered, is that the very act of looking affects not only the atoms on the subatomic level. An atom is 1/1000th of an inch across. 1/1000th of an inch is an atom, and subatoms, which is what they were discovering at this point, are 100,000s of times smaller than that. So from the smallest, but see, it took science, it took man to go to the smallest components of matter to understand how consciousness is affecting reality.
That's
right?
interesting. Yeah.
It's just that we're up here in the macro level of reality, so it doesn't appear that your thoughts are affecting matter. But Crowley and the magicians all knew, of course it is. And magic may be, I'm not saying it is, but that's one interpretation of magic, of course, centers upon this ability to change matter.
Control matter,
And of course in the New Age movement they're always talking about prosperity think. About the way you think changes reality, and I'm a big, supporter of that belief. I absolutely do believe that. Always have believed that.
Your intention and what you focus upon, and what you attract as a human. And,
We just had a discussion on the forum recently about that. About, who are these people telling us that we have, no control over, our Scientology, or somebody telling us that I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were all just hopeless victims. In the sea of the world, and unless we follow some beacon or some leader, we're lost. Total nonsense. I don't believe in that. And so William Blake had said it before: when the doors of perception are cleansed, man sees things as they truly are, infinite. But man can see things as they truly are, infinite. First of all, must be infinite in his consciousness. Man must first see himself in that way. So the sorcery is that which tries to prevent you from ever discovering your infinitude. If it can have you narrow, confined to roles, regimented, conformatized, just like the Guardian movie shows you. And believe me, that's a religion with them. That's not something they're willing to negotiate. You don't have a choice. When you're working with the status quo in the system, you better conform to the role. Otherwise, you're a non-existent. They'll put you in the madhouse, they'll lock you up, or they'll leave you on the lower realm of the class system to end up in the streets. They're not going to argue about it. There's no humming and hawing. You either play the game and you buy into the role, or you will be a vagrant as far as society is concerned. Look at the Guardian. You'll only get the girl, right, once you've got the uniform. You got the rank, you get the girl. You get promotion, you've got the girl. So, at the end of that's one criticism of National Treasure, is at the end he gets the car, he gets the mansion, and he gets the house after he got the gold. So this Hollywood is all very linear. It's not getting psychologically advanced or spiritually enlightened or morally pure. It's getting the gold, it's getting material, it's getting the rank and the status, it's getting Big Brother's approval. And once you got the pat on the back, you can take that big deep breath, and everyone will applaud, you see, and the collective has accepted you now. Your role is established. Because you're not what they call inner directed, you're outer directed. You have no psychic sovereignty. So the approval of others, be it even one other, or the approval of the many, now matters extraordinarily. Your whole life and your whole sanity rests or falls on the approval of other people. And since the reality is that you don't get approval from most people, that just happens to be a physical fact, well then, of course, now the neurosis begins. Because now you're so dependent on the approval of others, what happens if you don't get it? Well, then you end up like most people are walking around today.
You fall apart.
You fall apart. Whereas Ayn Rand, one of my mentors, would have responded to that by going, if you are a person who's already of merit, why do you need to be decorated? If you have done something for another that is what you wanted to do, and truly was of value in itself, you don't need their approval or their thanks.
Yeah.
Get sorry out of your vocabulary. Get thank you out of your vocabulary. If if you did something that was for the right, it doesn't matter if another human being knows about it. It's the gift you've given yourself. If they say thank you, that's absolutely fantastic. That's their right. But you're not psychologically dependent on them saying
on receiving that.
It's polite to say that in society or to respond, of course. These are normal or mercurial responses. There's no problem. But you're not neuroticized if I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, what is happening. So we have now got. This is all what we talked about in previous shows about the. The inauthentic life. These are the trappings of the inauthentic life. Once you're confined to these roles, this is where you're going to be at. And like we said, the yin and the yang, the pulse and the wave. The Greeks talked about the logos and sophia. Again, right brain, left brain. And the way power versus love. My article, Weapons of Mass Deception Found, goes into the power versus love. Power is in the place of love, and love is in the place of power. So when you see a sorcerer, you see an addict of power. That's it. Obsessed and addicted to power. Power is where love should be. And they want to infect you with their infection. As now the whole world is becoming infected. Hitler's no good without a gang. Bush is no good without an audience. He has to have, like psychopathic people around him, first of all to hide his own psychopathy. They're the tall grass in which the tiger hides, you see. And believe me, if you can have a whole culture of psychopaths, right, all the better.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
The orcs, have all the orcs. Then you can be as faceless as you feel like.
So, if we talk about sorcery, do you think that it is invisible in a way? If this, sorcery that you talk about exists in that sense, how comes it works? Why don't people, oppose it or rebel against it if it's there? Is it?
Well, they're under infection. That's the first thing. And people like myself hopefully should be motivated to try and address people like a healer or whatever to the fact they're infected by these things. Remember, we talked about the fragility of the ego allows them to be so controlled and herded. I even go to the point of saying that we're not thinking with the mind, we're thinking for the mind. See, the mind is all about the collective. So even the ego you have is oriented or magnetized more to collectivism than it is to individualism. Individualism must be fought for. Sovereignty or hygiene must be gained. It doesn't come to you naturally. What comes to you naturally is dirt. If you leave fruit on the table, naturally it'll rot. If you leave your home, right, dust will gather. See, the natural function is for decrepitude and for dust and toxins to gather. Your effort is to get the gloves on, the detergent out, and the brushes and to clean. That takes effort. This is a work that the human race couldn't care less about anymore. So the toxins are building up. The human race has never cared for that. It's only a shamanic class that cares to, detoxify you and to work with hygiene, but they're all dead. So, in one way...
Do you think that, speaking about the ego again as a recent, how should I say, effect on the consequences around us then from trauma and so forth, are we also in a immature situation now that we actually are? Is this process that we're going through now helping us in a way to actually get to know our ego and help to develop that and mature the ego in any way?
Yeah, you're talking about the fact that people are stressed within the inauthentic life?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, see, this is where I differ a lot from those people in other areas of this community, where I have no problem seeing all the harangue and the stress and the frustration and the sort of... I look at that as very positive, because you shouldn't get comfortable with a lie.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see people burned out, stressed out, complaining, frustrated. I want to see those so-called darker emotions operating, because I know what those darker emotions are. Those darker emotions that you hate, you think is called hate and anger and loneliness, you see, and fear. Those are just terms. Those are, again, words that you have blocked your higher self. The higher self is working overtime to wake you up from a delirium. You're caught within the roles. You're caught within that scaffolding. You're caught in the cage of the inauthentic life. You are miles away from your dharma and your inauthentic existence. You've had everyone from your parents to your peers to your fellow friends, so-called friends, teachers, politicians, and priests, and the whole world erase your individuality. So of course you're going to be screaming inside, I don't want to medicate you. I don't want to create a new age cult where I can liberate you from your angst. I want to introduce you to your angst. That angst, right? What did Nietzsche say? Beware casting out your demons. You may be casting out the best part of you.
Yeah.
People think he was satanic, crazy. No, he was a philosopher who understood. Let's hope that those dark forces that are banging on your door get in.
So you can root. It's a form of exorcism.
It's a form of catharsis, an exorcism.
Yeah.
You may be so personally traumatized that when they come in you die from shock. Well, too bad. That's the price we're willing to pay. But they're not killing you. You're killing yourself in fear of a shadow you don't understand. See, the unconscious always shines back the face that looks into it. That's why the greatest symbol of the unconscious is the mirror.
Yeah.
Because the face that the unconscious takes on, or they say more specifically, the face that the content of the unconscious takes on when it comes into consciousness, is predicated upon your own ego defenses. Meaning that what you look into is like this atomic level thing. The face that looks into the unconscious is reflected back. So if the face that's looking into the unconscious is fearful, pathological, toxic, scared, etc., content will take on that shape.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Even looking exactly, and we have come this far now in a way because of also the technological advancement through, that we have the means now to look into that deep down into atoms and go
right.
so far into it.
And what are they going to see when they get there?
Exactly, themselves. Yeah.
Now remember, if people find this concept hard to deal with, they explored it in Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, when they literally go in search of God. And when they get there, everybody sees a different God. Or the main hero in the show, the protagonist, doesn't see what he thought he saw. And luckily he wakes up to the point. He discovers that the God he's seeing is a projection of his own self. It's beautifully, that's why the movie is very positive, is because the person discovers his own insanity at that point. He realizes, oh my God, I created this myself. So we are doing that. So I am very much a person who looks at all of this social confusion, worldly confusion. I don't like to see people medicating themselves. I don't want people to run away from it. Well, I know why they're doing it. You see, people are already in an escape from the real. So people go, we're providing escapes. The media provides escapes. No, you're already in escape. Your whole life is an escape from the real. So your medicating yourself and finding escapes and finding deviations from this horrible cage that you're in is also natural. Of course you would want to escape from it. All I'm saying to people is to escape from it totally. Because remember, part of the sorcery, this is the theme of our show here, is that the sorcery is to keep you within the cage, but giving you the illusion that it's okay to be in the cage because we'll offer you a bunch of false freedoms. What would you call it? The illusion of freedom.
Yeah.
So, and they'll lay on anything, as long as the door remains locked, and you don't really ask for the key.
Yeah.
Right? Because they know that people will get frustrated, sitting in a corner of the room or hiding under the balcony, hiding under the staircase. So there's an incredible manufacture of stimuli for that person who does not believe that they are in control of their lives. And remember, you asked why is this happening? It's because there's a certain kind of safety within the cage. Within that prison, there's a certain kind of, safety and security.
No, of course, yeah.
This is Patrick McGowan points this out in his Prisoner series, that people are very happy to be in there because everything's provided, everything's laid on.
Yeah. No need to ask any questions, you don't need to go off on a tangent and, protest against evil governments or whatever. Everything you want to have is basically a little bit within your reach, if it's a new car or PlayStation or whatever it might
everything.
be.
Everything will be laid on. Everything from A to Z will be laid on. In the Prisoner series, they say questions are a burden and answers a prison for oneself. Don't think. Stop your. We'll just make it pleasure, pain, less work, more play. No, more. This era it'll be more play, less work. So it's very cut down, very small, and those